Hi, how are you? This summer is a summer of family events for my family. And one of those was my daughter's first communion, which is quite a big thing for her. And it's quite a big thing for us as grown-ups and as parents. It's a fun tradition. So they are gathered, all these baptized children, and they go to camp for a week that church puts together, and they do a lot of fun stuff, and it's usually on the countryside, or so it involves swimming in the lakes and boat rowing and hiking and of course fires in the evening and lots of talk about Bible and Jesus and what do they want from life and what's the phase of their life. And after the camp, there is, of course, the ceremony in the church. So first there is the service, and then the ceremony, and then the first communion itself. And usually after that, people have some kind of gathering at home or in some other location for family and friends, so they can come and congratulate the young people. And it's like this turning point that you have, or milestone, if you like to call them, in life. So now, at this summer, my youngest is adult in the eyes of a church and in the eyes of a congregation. And what does that mean to me or anyone else who has a child 40 to 50? It's a sign. It's a major sign. Your kid is going to be adult soon, or is adult in the eyes of the church, but is not adult according to the laws of the country. But it's time to think, what's our job as a parents now? What do we have to let go and what do we have to emphasize? For starters, I think that to this point, our job has been more or less to keep the young ones safe and home and with the family, and they of course meet their friends and go to hobbies and go to school and that kind of things. But now our role shifts, and gradually we have to not pull them in but push them out. They have to be ready and be able and start to form a new community with their peers, with the kids of roughly the same age. They have to make these alliances and bonds and friendships and start to act together and to build the society to what they want it to be. We, of course, know much. We are adults. We are old, but our knowledge is outdated. It's no use trying to say that I know everything that young people do. No, you don't. I don't, and I try to listen carefully what's happening. But the whole thing is that we are on a downhill, and they are not. They are just coming to be their best selves, to their best years, usually people are in their best age from 15 to 30, and then most start to decline softly. But these kids, these 15-year-olds, they are just starting their life, and they are starting their life as adult, not in this year or that year. It's not like when you turn, let's say, 18, then you suddenly know everything. No, it's gradually. But it's disservice to keep them in, and it's a service for them and to this society to push them out, to push them gradually to form these alliances and form this community of the future that they represent and they are a part of, or we have to like really, really, really hope that they are a part of. There is nothing more depressing than not be a part of the group that is the group of your peers, but to be left outside. That would be a huge disservice. Of course, we have to still protect, and we have to still like make boundaries to things. That's of course. But there are, I think, that things that we do have to shift. So when they were small, they were absolute no's, and it's okay. Mommy says like this, and it's like this. But when they start to think, and they have to start to think with their own heads, then our role shifts to be, this kind of question, have you thought about this perspective and this perspective and this perspective? And then you decide yourself what you want to do. And when they decide for themselves, they are really like, they are their own decisions, and they are motivated to do like they decide. And that's a big thing, because no amount of no from parents is going to protect them from doing what they want to do. I know that they can get their hands on all illegal things if they want to. They are resourceful young people. But it's better if they think among themselves that it's just not wise, and decide for themselves. And there is this kind of thing with no's that people really usually don't realize. If there are too much no's, the individual no is diluted in the mess. So what's important and what is not? One example, of course, that I do, that I say that drugs are absolute no. That I don't do them, and you shouldn't either. They are bad for you, and they are illegal. And of course, there are lots of ifs and buts and medical uses, but that's a different thing. But even with the mildest drugs, you can end up in psychosis just from the first time. So don't take a risk that you are the one in 1,000 that ruins his or her life because of one thing that they do, because one drug, one time, one use. So that's my absolute no. And the other things they can try to decide. But of course, we offer the guidance and our opinions. But if there is one no that they will take seriously, that's the no. But there are, of course, some things that we have to let go. I think that it's wise for young people to make their own mistakes. This came to my mind when I was in the other day in a subway, and there came a mother and a son that sat to the other side of the aisle. The mother had a very loud voice, so I can hear clearly what she says. The situation was basically that the young man had met a girl, so he had a girlfriend that he was very much in love with, and the mother couldn't stand her. And the whole 15 minutes that we were at the same time in the subway, the mother kept bashing that girl. Like, she's not respectful enough, and she wears funny clothes, and she acts strangely, and she's not good for her, good enough for him, and it went on and on and on. And I really felt sorry for that boy. I have no idea, of course, what kind of girl was he seeing, but what are the things that matter? He obviously loved her, or thought that he loved her. What if the mother is right? What if the girl is no good for him? What if he leaves the girl because of his mother? Then probably he will compare every woman, every girl that he meets to that girl that he was in love with, and idealizes her later, and nobody compares, and he'll be miserable. and then he will blame his mother. What if the girl is a good girl and the mother just doesn't understand her? And what if she just has this kind of rebellious phase? Or what if the mother is actually the problem? What if she is unreasonable and bully and bossy? And the boy stays with the girl. Then slowly but surely he will cut ties with the mother, and the girl may be even rebellious now, but a wonderful wife and a mother for his children in the future. And then the mother is left out, and he has hurt the girl permanently, and she will never trust her. That's not a good outcome either. The only sensible thing that she could have done is to point out her son that he could do better, maybe, that he is a valuable human being and he needs to be treated right. But if he stays with the girl, she supports him. And if then everything goes wrong, the girl is a bad news, then the boy will turn to her mother for help, and she'll be there. And I think that that's the only reasonable thing to do. Or every wise and loving mother or father would do that. You cannot meddle with the affairs of heart. Not like that. Because it's a big thing, and many people meet their future spouses when they are 15 or 16 and end up living with them for the rest of their lives and be happy. And what we see of them, we can see them behaving nicely and being polite, and actually they are monsters. Or we can see the worst side of them, the rebellious side that is against everything that parents do and adults do, but it may be just a front. And they end up being nice people in the end, in few years when they grow up. So there are plenty of things that we have to do, and there are plenty of letting go. And the worst thing that we can do is to hold on to our kids, to keep them at home, not to let them grow in their own pace, and just be the safe haven. If something happens, we'll be here. If you are pondering something, ask, we'll be here. And that's the best thing that we can do for our children, because they have to grow up and be the next generation that we hopefully see to taking over the world. There is much in raising children in different phases, but these was the first thoughts that came into my mind when I thought about this first communion and how she is adult in the eyes of the church. I hope you have a great day. I see you soon. Goodbye.